What if Willy Wonka was a Luciferian guide serving a darker power, and the chocolate factory is much more esoteric than we thought? What if the factory was something else? Willy Wonka is a Satan worshipper. Now, before you leave and think I'm not worth watching because I'm dressed like a coked out Riddler from the Batman and I look like I'm an insane conspiracy theorist, I'm not. I'm not someone who wears a tinfoil hat and thinks about theories all day. Movie theories, that is. There's one thing needs to be said, and not enough people talk about this. Why are we acting like a grown adult man wearing a hat, guiding kids into his home with candy, is not a horror movie in and of itself? This is like the plot of Hansel and Gretel, except in this context, we're acting like he's not a witch. If you were to read a story like this on paper, 9 times out of 10, that's a setup for a fucking horror movie. This movie is the Saw of children's movies. Now, people are gonna say, Zafy, why are you corrupting a children's story? Why are you doing this? Can you just leave these innocent stories be? This theory makes the movie better. Now, I am going to be talking about a specific character, Willy Wonka from the 1970s movie, Gene Wilder. Not Timothy Chalamet's new Wonka, which is pretty much a protagonist and a hero in every sense, or the schizophrenic Michael Jackson, Johnny Depp version of Willy Wonka who had daddy issues. No, this is a very specific character that's different than any of those. Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka is a Satan worshipper, and this is it. This is why. You realize that the author, I've never seen a man who's rumored more to hate kids than this man, okay? Now, I don't know if he is. He said in many interviews that he actually envies kids and their innocence, and he writes about the perseverance of the child spirit against overwhelming odds, okay? It's very noticeable that he writes children like brats and rats that need to be eradicated, though, up against supernatural forces in many of his stories. This is no different. The origin of the factory is unknown. Some versions imply Wonka discovered a hidden, ancient facility and simply claimed it. This could hint at a Faustian pact where he made a deal with the devil in exchange for extended life and great success. He has to do something for the devil, and I think the devil speaks to him through the factory. Willy Wonka is not just some eccentric recluse. He's a Faustian figure. He must offer souls of corrupt children as part of a long-running ritual of moral testing and sacrifice. They agreed. Him and the demonic force behind the factory agreed that it would be children who are monsters, not pure ones. The purest one would be his successor. That is the ultimate sacrifice itself. The heir to the factory. Hear me out, y'all. Once you realize all of this shit was coordinated, all the kids who got the chocolate bar and were invited, this wasn't by chance. He literally had it all planned out. This is the most obvious evidence, by the way, for any of this. Every single theory that's made on this idiot Willy Wonka points to this, okay? The golden tickets weren't found by chance. Wonka knew all of them would start disappearing, but the one that was pre-selected as heir. He chose Charlie ahead of time. He built rooms for each of the kids' stereotype. You have to know in advance before you do this. He was gathering intel on all of them beforehand through the Slugworth imposter, Mr. Wilkinsons, who was working for him all along. Slugworth is a literal psyop, meant to test the kids for this. Here's the supporting evidence. The rooms. Each room is themed like a circle of hell, punishing kids for specific vices via a humiliation ritual. Augustus is gluttony. Veruca is greed. Violet, pride. Mike, sloth or vanity. Once they fail, they're seemingly taken by the factory, right? With uncertain fates. Now, Wonka does tell Charlie, listen, they're going to be okay. They're going to be alive, they're just punished, They still have lasting effects for what happened. Their souls are dilapidated and so are their parents. They were offerings. Now, they don't need to die. When people think of satanic sacrifice or ritual sacrifice, they think of someone getting the throat slit or dying. You don't need to die in order for the sacrifice to be dealt. They were offerings, not casualties. In dark occult practices, especially in ritual sacrifice, the act of selection, humiliation, and transformation can be more important than death itself. Their survival isn't mercy. It's part of ritualistic torment. Like biblical or mythological tests, they are spiritually broken, not killed. Their ego dies and feeds the factory. That gets us to the factory. What the hell is this thing? What is a factory? The factory is a ritual labyrinth, an alchemical temple. The factory isn't just a factory, it's designed like an esoteric ritual site. Think about it. The river of chocolate is a corrupted take on holy water. It's mocking holy water, used in baptism. The shrinking room, the blueberry inflation, the nut snorting shoot. These represent stages of transmutation, which is alchemic practice. These echo alchemic transformations or initiation rites, okay? The Oompa Loompa songs. No one mentions how satanic these things are. They are ritual chants. The Oompa Loompas appear out of nowhere and sing prophetic songs about each of the child's doom, like demonic choirs passing judgment. The Oompa Loompas themselves as a concept are scary. You might think, oh, are these small like demons? No. They're not demonic midgets. Wonka says he rescued them from Loompa Land, a dangerous place filled with monsters where they live in fear. This could mirror, we're going biblical here, right? This could mirror the Israelites in Egypt, but more darkly could reflect beings who were enslaved under the promise of protection and salvation, only to end up as indentured servants to a God who feeds off sin and obedience. It also evokes the Garden of Eden fall narrative, taken from nature into a mechanized paradise where innocence is lost in exchange for service and sustenance. I don't know how people don't realize how biblical and satanic the very concept of this chocolate factory and all the things that happen in are. The boat scene, the most damning evidence against Willy Wonka himself. This is a satanic rite. The infamous boat tunnel is filled with psychedelic horror images, a chicken getting decapitated, insects crawling on faces, terrifying stuff. Wonka recites a disturbing poem while this is going down, like a ritual incantation, his eyes wide open and hypnotic. He's prepping the bodies and minds of these kids for sacrifice here. And here's the other thing. Wonka knows these kids are gonna fail. He knows how idiotic a lot of them are. He designs temptations for each child and watches with detached interest. This is consistent with the devil testing humanity for the flaws. It's consistent with everything that's freaking satanic. Charlie's reward isn't that, oh, he's getting a factory and all the wealth and success. No. This is a bloodline pact. This is the ultimate sacrifice. At the end, Charlie wins, not with skill, but by moral purity. Wonka passes over the factory to him to seal the soul pact. Charlie inherits this satanic ritual site. Why? Because it takes someone pure to start the cycle. And then they will eventually break while breaking the impure. That's how it goes. Willy Wonka might have been an actual good man, and then he made that Faustian bargain without knowing what the hell it would actually really cost. This ensures that the cycle continues with someone innocent and malleable. The devil loves the malleable. He loves to corrupt them. Wonka opens the factory a few days after Charlie says the quote. Think about the beginning of the film, right? Willy Wonka opens this factory a few days after Charlie says he longs for what is inside that factory. The devil knows Charlie's desires and communicated it through Wonka via the factory. This is a cosmic force that knows everything. It's omniscient. The hope is that Charlie wins and the other kids lose, picking the worst of the litter that represent the sins and complete the ritual. So, in summary, Willy Wonka is a satanic figure using his factory as a moral crucible, harvesting the souls of the corrupt under the guise of whimsy, while grooming an heir to carry on the ritual. Now, where does this play in with the popular Snowpiercer theory, right? Willy Wonka grows up to be Wilford in this theory. Wilford is like the god of the train that the rest of humanity is on now, after the climate has completely been destroyed and turned into a frozen hellscape. He's an eccentric engineer who built the train in Snowpiercer. The train is his new factory, an enclosed ecosystem instead of a candy wonderland. It makes a lot of sense. So, if we're going to apply that to my theory, here's how it would go. His original quest to make that pact with the devil has now been plunged into a world scale. Now that the world has become fucking dystopian, people needed something. Maybe a lot of people feared that God left them. People feared that God let this happen because he decided to ignore humanity and leave. So a lot of them started going to the devil. And this is where Willy Wonka came in, because Willy Wonka was the most experienced person at the time with the devil. So he decided to make this a new mission of his. The factory was given to Charlie. Wonka moved on in peace. Then he saw this happen. The factory probably went to shit. The devil spoke through him and he said, okay, we're going to do what we did with the factory, but we're going to do it on a fucking train now. Because only I can do this. So he developed a God complex because he was the only one who knew the devil. Do you see how freaking insane that is? For someone to act like the new God because of the devil. People losing faith in God because of the climate disaster that happened in Snowpiercer, they're now turning to a freaking Satan worshiper without knowing it. The train has replaced the factory. Satan has replaced God in the eyes of humanity now. And now it's a class divide. That's what it goes down. This is the most haunting horror movie of all time. Willy Wonka is a horror villain. Nobody understands this. Nobody understands that it's not normal for a dude to dress like that, luring kids with candy, and having traps set for them that literally humiliate and destroy them. No one understands how satanic that is. The Oompa Loompas, look at them, man. How are we acting like this isn't literally a message sent to us from hell? Willy Wonka's a Satan worshiper. And I'm not saying he loves Satan or he worships and prays him every day. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he made a bargain that he can't back out of, and now he's on a mission ever since to have someone replace him. And then maybe the Snowpiercer is him taking full accountability and trying to be a god and trying to save humanity because he's developed a god complex over time. Now that he left the factory to Charlie, he started to realize he misses that power, that freedom, that isolation, and he created it through the train. That's what it is, y'all. Willy Wonka is a Satan worshiper. No one can convince me otherwise. This dude's a fucking horror movie villain, all right? That's it. If you want to know why Optimus Prime is a fascist and was a fascist all along, and maybe Megatron and the Decepticons might have been right, watch this video over here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a mission to take over Hollywood. But the army must keep growing. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movies or favorite film theories in a community with like-minded individuals, join the Zafy Discord now. Link is in the description and the comment section as well. Join us. This movement is just beginning. We're taking over Hollywood, one coke line at a time.